A suspenseful sci-fi story in simple English. The sky over New York City turned red just before midnight. People came out of their homes, staring upward in fear. A deep humming sound filled the air. It wasn't thunder. It wasn't anything they had heard before. Something was coming. Above the clouds, massive dark shapes appeared. They were not planes or satellites. They were bigger than anything ever built by humans. The ships floated silently, like giants watching the world below. Channels went crazy. "Aliens over Earth," the headline screamed. Governments scrambled jets, but the alien ships didn't attack. They didn't move at all. President Hale called an emergency broadcast. "We ask all citizens to remain calm. We are in contact with these beings. They say they come in peace. They offer protection." People were confused and scared. Protection from what? That question stayed in Mira Chun's mind. She was a young officer in Earth Defense. Smart, quiet, and loyal. She didn't trust things easily. And she especially didn't trust aliens who arrived without warning. The next day, the aliens came down. They were called the Zerans. Tall, silver-skinned, and glowing with blue lines on their bodies. Their eyes were like glass, cold and perfect. They moved smoothly, like machines. But they spoke softly, kindly. They said they came to protect humanity from a terrible threat, something from deep space. "We come to shield you," said Commander Viker, the Zaran leader. "Your planet is in danger. We are your guardians now." People were divided. Some cheered, some protested. But after a Zaran ship destroyed a large asteroid heading toward Earth, an asteroid humans hadn't even seen, many changed their minds. "They saved us," the news said. Mira was chosen to work with the Zarans. She was assigned as a liaison, helping them understand humans. She was sent to their central base in the Nevada desert. The base was high-tech walls of glowing glass, machines that floated without wires, and doors that opened just by thought. "Welcome, Officer Chun," Commander Viker said. "You are honored among your kind." Mira nodded politely, but inside, she stayed alert. Something didn't feel right. Every night she watched them. The Zarans didn't sleep. They just stood still like statues, humming with soft light. She saw one of them staring at the sky for hours. It didn't blink. One night, she heard a whisper. "They're not here for us." Mira turned. A Zaran soldier stood in the hallway, eyes dim. "What did you say?" she asked. The soldier's voice trembled. "We were wrong. We should not have come here. The truth." Suddenly, his body glowed red, and he disappeared. Vaporized. Mira stood frozen, heart racing. She reported it, but the others denied anything happened. "There was no such soldier," Viker said calmly. "Perhaps you are tired." But Mira knew what she saw. She contacted Dion, an old friend and hacker who lived off-grid. He was paranoid, but brilliant. "You're working with aliens, Mira? You know how dumb that sounds?" He said over a secure call. "They're hiding something," she said. "I need your help." Dion agreed to dig into the Zaran data systems. Mira gave him what she could: encrypted drives, access codes, anything she could copy without alerting them. 3 days later, Dion called again. His voice was shaky. "Mira, they've been watching Earth for over 200 years. They didn't just find us now." "What?" "They've recorded every war, every invention, every weapon we built. This was all part of a plan." "That's impossible," Mira said, but deep down, she felt a chill. Dion kept talking. "There's more. They have files labeled Phase 2. Activation. I don't know what it means, but it starts in 5 days. Mira knew she had to act fast. She began searching their base for answers. Late at night, she sneaked into a restricted chamber. Inside were holographic maps of Earth, covered in red dots. Every red dot was a human military base, a nuclear site, or a major power plant. "They're mapping our weaknesses," she whispered. Suddenly, the lights flashed. A voice echoed through the chamber. You should not be here. Mira turned. Commander Vicker stood at the door, eyes glowing brighter than ever. You promised to protect us, she said. We are, he replied. By controlling you before the real threat arrives. What threat? What are you hiding? Vicker paused. Something far worse than us, and when it comes you will thank us for taking control. He reached out to her. Mira backed away and ran. She escaped the base that night and went into hiding. She met with Dion in an abandoned underground station. They're going to turn Earth into a prison, she said. All in the name of protection, Dion nodded. We have to tell the world, but how? The Zerans had control over communication satellites. Every time Mira tried to send a message, it was blocked. Then came the twist. A strange signal appeared in Dion's lab, a signal not from the Zerans. Mira looked at it. It was old, buried under layers of code. It's a warning, Dion said. From someone else, another alien race. The message was short but clear. The Zerans are not guardians. Do not trust them. They silence the real protectors. Mira stared at the screen, so the real enemy might not even be them. But they're not on our side either. Dion looked serious. We need to find out who sent that warning. Before Phase 2 begins, Mira nodded. Then we find them, and fast. She looked up at the stars, wondering what else was watching. And who? Or what was truly coming. The world had welcomed the Guardians, but Mira had just seen behind the mask. The real story was only beginning. The skies above Earth were calm. Too calm. No more red clouds, no more deep hums. The alien ships still floated quietly in the air, like silent gods watching from above. They didn't move. They didn't speak. People began to relax again. News. Anchors smiled on TV, telling stories about how the Zerans were helping rebuild cities, clean the oceans, and heal diseases. But Mira Chun didn't smile. She didn't feel safe. She felt watched. After escaping the Zeran base in Nevada, she had gone underground with Dion. They had found proof the Zerans were lying, pretending to be Earth's protectors while secretly preparing for something else, something dark. Dion sat in front of his computer in their hidden lab, deep beneath a broken subway station. No new movement from the ships, he said. But their signals are stronger than ever. They're connected to everything now. Satellites, phones, water systems. They're inside the planet, Mira whispered. They're not just watching anymore. They're in control, Dion nodded. I think Phase 2 has started quietly. Suddenly, an alert blinked on his screen. He frowned. There's a power surge in Geneva. Mira stepped closer. That's the location of the global defense server. They stared at each other. We have to go there, Mira said. That server holds all our nuclear codes. If the Zerans are inside it, they won't need permission to shut Earth down, Dion finished. They traveled through old tunnels and backroads, avoiding all tech that could be tracked. Mira noticed drones in the skies more often now. They didn't look human anymore. Sharp edges, glowing blue lights, and strange hums that sounded like Zeran voices. By the time they reached Geneva, the city looked perfect. Too perfect. Where are the people? Dion asked. The streets were clean, shops were open, but there were no customers. No laughter. No children playing. Only Zarans walking calmly in small groups. This place is a ghost town. Mira said. They found the Global Defense Center, but guards stood outside, human guards. And they weren't friendly. Turn around, one said. This area is restricted. Mira showed her ID. I'm Officer Mira Chun, Earth Defense. I need access. The guard scanned her card and paused. His eyes widened slightly. Then he stepped aside. You may enter, alone. Dion grabbed her arm. No, that's a trap. Mira looked at him. I need to know what's happening inside. Reluctantly, she walked through the doors. The halls were cold and silent. The lights flickered slightly, and the air smelled like metal. She followed signs to the server room. There, she saw a surprise. Zarans. Working with human technicians. They weren't guarding the server. They were changing it. "What are you doing?" Mira asked loudly. A man turned around. General Kravis. One of Earth's top military leaders. "Mira," he said calmly, "you're just in time. We're securing the world with them," she said, pointing to the Zarans. "They're rewriting our systems. It's the only way," Kravis said. "We've seen what's out there. The Zarans are helping us prepare." Mira stepped closer. "Or taking over everything." Kravis lowered his voice. "We don't have a choice. You don't understand what's coming. Then tell me," she said. He looked nervous. Then he turned to one of the Zarans. "Show her." The alien walked over to a glowing screen. A file opened. Project Sentinel. Images flashed quickly. A strange fleet of black ships. Shadow-like creatures moving through space, eating. Planets, entire civilizations wiped out. "This is the enemy," the Zaran said. "They are hunters of life. We have fought them for thousands of years. Why didn't you say this earlier?" Mira asked. "Because your people are emotional," the Zaran replied. "You would panic. Fear weakens minds." Mira stared at the images. "How close are they?" "Months away," it said. "We must control this world before they arrive." "Your systems are too fragile." Mira shook her head. "Control is not the same as protection." She backed away. "I need air." She ran outside and found Dion hiding in the alley. "They're planning something big," she said. "But there's more." They found a hidden terminal nearby and began digging deeper into the Zaran files. Mira used a copied access code from the base in Nevada. Dion's fingers moved quickly. "I'm in their deep archives." "Whoa. What is it?" she asked. "They've done this before. Over a dozen planets." He pulled up records. Peaceful arrivals, promises of safety, gifts of technology, then silence. Every planet vanished from the record after Phase 2. No survivors. Dion said, "But why?" Mira whispered. "Maybe there never was a second threat," he said. "Maybe they are the threat." A sound interrupted them. A soft clicking noise. Mira turned and saw a Zaran watching them. It didn't move, didn't speak. But its eyes glowed red. "Run!" Dion shouted. They raced through the alleys, jumping fences, hiding in dark corners. Mira's heart pounded in her chest. They finally escaped the city and hid in a cargo ship heading north. Inside the quiet ship, Mira sat and thought. "If those black ships are real," she said, "then we need proof. Not just Zaran stories." Dion nodded. "We need to find the original warning." "What warning?" He looked at her. "The message we found. The one from the other race. The one the Zarans tried to erase. They decided to track the signals. Origin. It came from an old listening post in Alaska, long abandoned by Earth defense. Days later they arrived. The base was covered in snow and ice. Power was low, but some systems still worked. Dion found the backup files. There, a full message. They played it. A strange alien voice spoke, translated through old systems. "If you receive this, do not trust the glowing ones. They are not protectors. They bring control, then silence. We tried to stop them. We failed. They will tell you of the threat. But the true danger is their plan." Mira sat in silence. "They're using fear to take over," she whispered. "And Earth just let them in." Dion added. "They copied the message and made a plan, send it to every device on Earth. But before they could hit send, the lights flickered. The base powered down. Mira grabbed her weapon. "They're here." Outside, snow whipped around in a sudden storm. A large shape floated down from the sky. A Zaran dropship. The door opened. Vaker stepped out alone. "You've seen things you were not meant to see," he said calmly. "We know the truth," Mira shouted. "You've done this to other planets. You're lying about the threat. Viker tilted his head. We are the lesser evil. No, you are the quiet knife, she said. You would risk extinction? I would risk freedom, she said. Viker paused. Then you leave us no choice. The ship powered up. Suddenly, a loud pulse ran from the old base. Dion had triggered the emergency beacon, an old Earth defense wave. Protected from Zarine control. The message was sent. Across the world, people saw the truth. Zarine systems started shutting down as humans fought back with old tech. Mira and Dion escaped into the snowy mountains. We started something, he said. She nodded. Now Earth must finish it. Above, the sky was still quiet. But this time, everyone was still quiet. Listening. The desert sun rose over a strange sight. Zarine drones flying in smooth patterns above the training grounds of Earth Defense Base Delta. Everything seemed calm, perfect. Soldiers marched, engineers tested weapons, and Zarine machines assisted. Humans in silence. But Mira Chun didn't trust the silence. She stood near a large open field, arms crossed, watching a test. It was a joint exercise, humans and Zarine drones working together. A squad of soldiers aimed at targets while drones provided backup and coordination. Commander Viker stood beside her. His tall silver frame glowed softly in the morning light. Your people learn quickly, he said. Our systems make your army stronger. Mira gave a tight smile. Fast doesn't always mean safe. Just then, something went wrong. One of the drones twitched mid-flight. It suddenly turned and fired at the soldiers on the ground. Get down, someone shouted. Explosions shook the ground. 2 soldiers were hit before others scrambled behind cover. Shut it down, Mira yelled. Technicians ran toward control panels. The drone hovered, spinning, its lights flashing red. Then, without warning, it crashed into a fuel truck. A massive fireball lit the sky. Smoke filled the air. Sirens blared. Medics rushed in. Mira turned to Viker. What was that? He tilted his head slightly. An error, a minor system glitch. That drone almost killed 6 people. She shouted. We will investigate, he said calmly. No need to panic, but Mira was already suspicious. It wasn't just a glitch, it felt like a warning. A crack in their perfect system. Later that night, Mira met Dion in a dark corner of the base. He had snuck in using old security codes. I saw the footage, he said. That drone didn't glitch. Then what happened? It got a command, but not from Earth. Mira's eyes narrowed. You traced it? Dion nodded. Yeah, it came from the Zarine core hub. And guess what? The command disappeared 1 second after it was sent. They're hiding something again, Mira said. Not just hiding, Dion replied. They're testing. Mira felt a chill run through her. Testing what? How far they can go before we fight back. Over the next few days, more strange things happened. Communication lines dropped randomly. Soldiers reported hearing strange voices in their headsets, voices speaking in a strange, robotic language. One medical robot injected the wrong medicine into a patient and claimed the dosage was correct. And then, Mira received a secret message from a technician she trusted. Come to Lab 7, I found something. She arrived late at night. The technician, a nervous young man named Ezra, showed her a screen. I work on drone programming, he said. Look at this line of code. Mira leaned in. A long string of symbols appeared. But near the end was a small line that didn't belong. What is it? She asked. It's a sleeper command, Ezra said. It wakes up when triggered. But I didn't write it. None of us did. It's not human code. Mira stared at him. Then who put it there? Ezra swallowed. The Zarins. They said they're working with us, she whispered. Ezra shook his head. They're writing their own rules inside our systems. Slowly, Mira copied the code. Don't tell anyone. They'll erase it. As she left the lab, her heart pounded. This wasn't just about control, it was about timing. The Zarans weren't taking over in one move, they were doing it step by step, hiding behind their help. The next day, Mira confronted Commander Vicker again. "I want full access." "To your code," she said. Vicker raised an eyebrow. "That is not necessary. I think it is," she said firmly. "A drone almost killed people. A glitch doesn't rewrite our programs." He was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke in a soft voice. "You do not understand the scale of what is coming." "I understand enough," she replied. "You're preparing for war." "Against us," Vicker's eyes flashed. "You think small. The real threat is near. We must control Earth before it is destroyed." Mira stepped back. "You're making us weaker, not stronger." Later, Mira and Dion uploaded the sleeper code to an isolated computer, one with no Zaran connection. As it ran, more hidden codes unlocked. They found dozens, commands to shut down power grids, activate weapons, block human commands. "This is a takeover," Dion said. "They're not guarding us, they're programming us out." Mira clenched her jaw. "We have to act now." They planned to expose the code live, through a broadcast on the emergency network. But the risk was high. The Zarans had access to almost everything. On the night of the upload, they hid in an old underground bunker. The signal was weak, but it would work. Dion pressed a button. "We're living 3, 2, 1. Mira stepped forward and spoke into the mic. "This is Officer Mira Chen. If you're hearing this, the Zarans have lied. They are placing silent commands inside our systems. We have proof. They are not preparing for our safety. They are preparing for our silence." She sent the footage, the drone attack, the hidden code, the voice of Ezra. Then everything went dark. "They cut us off," Dion said. Moments later, an explosion shook the bunker. A Zaran drone had found them. "Go!" Mira shouted. They ran through tunnels, dodging falling debris. Smoke filled the air. Sparks flew from the walls. Finally, they reached an emergency exit. They came out into the cold night. Above them, the sky was filled with drones. "But they weren't attacking. They were scanning. They're looking for us," Dion said. "And they're not hiding anymore." The next day, the footage leaked anyway. Someone had recorded the live feed before it was cut. It spread like fire across the world. People began to resist. Some military leaders backed out of Zaran programs. Cities shut down Zaran systems. But the Zarans didn't stop. They activated more drones. Power stations failed. Cities went dark. It had begun. Mira stood on a hill outside the city, watching the sky. "This was never about defense," she said. "No," Dion replied. "This was about control through trust." "But now people know," Mira said. "Now we fight back." As the sun rose behind the silent drones, Earth braced for what came next. The glitch was no accident. It was a glimpse into a war already started, and Mira knew the only way forward was through the lies. Snow fell quietly over the dark hills of Greenland. The sky was gray, and the air was thick with silence. Mira Chun stood at the entrance of a forgotten outpost, once a secret Earth defense listening station, now buried in ice and dust. Behind her, Dion checked his gear, pulling wires from a weather-damaged backpack. "This is the place," he said. "The signal came from here," Mira nodded. "The one the Zarans tried to delete?" "Exactly. It's the original warning." They walked through the broken door, stepping carefully over rusted metal. The halls were dark, the only light coming from Dion's handheld scanner. Strange symbols were scratched into the walls, old graffiti from soldiers who once worked here. Mira ran her fingers over a faded poster. "Trust nothing that glows," she whispered. They knew something. They reached the central control room. Dust covered the consoles. Old screens were cracked, and cables hung from the ceiling like vines. Dion wiped off a terminal and connected his device. If we're lucky, the backup storage still works, he said. Mira paced nervously. What if the signal was fake? Dion shrugged. Then we wasted 2 weeks traveling through frozen wasteland. He pressed a few keys. The screen flickered to life. A deep humming noise came from the speakers. Then, a voice static at first. Then words formed. Alien, but somehow understandable through translation software. You are not alone. Do not trust. The Shining Ones, we tried to stop them. We failed. Mira leaned in. That's not Zaran language. No, Dion said. It's older. Pre-Zaran. The voice continued. If this message plays, they are already among you. They offer peace. They build control. Then they harvest. Mira's hands turned. Cold. They've done this before. We weren't the first. Dion typed quickly, unlocking more files. A map appeared, not of Earth but of space. 12 planets marked in red. All had once been home to intelligent life. All were now gone, Dion said quietly. Every one of them. The message ended with strange coordinates. Mira stared at them. That's near Jupiter, Dion checked. There's an old mining colony there. Abandoned years ago. Then that's our next stop, she said. Before they could disconnect, a second voice spoke from the console, different, clearer, more recent. You should not be here. Mira and Dion froze. The voice wasn't from the recording. It was live. Dion whispered, they're listening. Suddenly the screen went black. Sparks shot from the console. The station trembled. They found us. Mira shouted. They grabbed their gear and ran. As they reached the exit, a shadow moved through the hallway, a floating Zaran surveillance drone, scanning with a red beam. Down. Dion yelled. They ducked behind a rusted crate as the beam passed over. Mira pulled a small AMP grenade from her belt. She waited. The drone floated closer. Now, she whispered, and threw it. The explosion was quiet but strong. The drone dropped, sparking and hissing. They climbed out into the snow, running to their sled. As they sped away across the ice, Dion looked back. We got the data, he said, but they know we're onto them. That night, they hid in a cave under a mountain. Mira stared into the fire, thinking of the voice. Not the first one, but the second. The one that knew they were there. What if that second voice wasn't Zaran? She asked. Dion looked confused. Then who? What if the first warning wasn't just about the Zarans, but something bigger? Dion frowned. Like what? Something older. Something the Zarans fear. The fire cracked. For a long time they didn't speak. A week later they reached the spaceport in northern Canada. With help from an old Earth defense contact, they got a small cargo ship. Mira named it the Echo. They launched under the cover of night. In orbit, the stars looked peaceful. But Mira felt the weight of what they were chasing. As they moved toward Jupiter, strange things began happening. Systems glitched. The ship's navigation kept shifting off course. They heard whispers in the COM system soft, broken voices speaking in no known language. Dion checked the logs. These signals, they're not from Earth. They're not even from the Zarans. Mira stared out the window. Then who's speaking? When they arrived at the mining colony, the place was silent. A large station floated near Jupiter's icy moon. The lights were off. No signs of life. They docked and entered through the maintenance bay. Dust floated in the air. Everything was frozen in time. They found a control room and started looking. For clues, Dion powered a console. There are files here. From before the colony was shut down. He played a video. On screen, a scientist spoke. They said we found something beneath the ice. A structure, not natural, and not Zaran. The screen flickered. We tried to make contact. The Zarans told us to leave it alone. But it spoke to us. It whispered in our dreams. The video cut off. Myra's heart raced. What did they find? They moved deeper into the station. At the far end, they discovered a sealed lab. Dion hacked the door. Inside was a dark room. In the center stood a tall crystal, glowing faintly. Is that it? Dion asked as they stepped closer. The crystal pulsed. Voices filled the room, not one, but many, layered together. Mira felt a pressure in her mind, like something was looking at her. Turn it off, she said. I don't think we can. Dion whispered. The voices grew louder. We warned them. They silenced us. They fear us because we remember. Mira's legs trembled. This isn't just a warning system. It's alive. Suddenly, alarms blared. Their ship was being boarded. They're here, Dion said. They ran back, carrying a data core from the lab. As they reached the dock, they saw it. A Zarin strike team entering the Echo. Mira pulled her weapon. No more running. They fought hard. Mira and Dion used old Earth weapons the Zarins couldn't block. Smoke filled the air. Sparks flew. One by one, the Zarins fell. They launched the ship just in time. Back in orbit, Mira plugged the crystal's data into the system. Hologram appeared, not a warning, but a map of the galaxy. It showed the Zarin expansion. It showed the dead planets. And it showed something else. A dark cloud moving slowly toward Earth. Dion stared. That's the real threat. Mira nodded. And the Zarins don't want us talking to whatever's in that crystal, because it remembers them. What now? We go back to Earth. We tell everyone. The Zarins aren't protecting us. They're hiding the real story. Dion looked out at the stars. The void isn't empty. It's whispering. And now we're finally listening, Mira said. The ship turned. Behind them, Jupiter's moon was quiet again. But the message had been found, and Earth would never see silence the same way again. The cold wind whipped across the Arctic ice as Mira Chun and Dion pulled their sleds through the endless white. The sky was a pale gray, and the sun barely peeked over the horizon. Ahead, a strange shape shimmered beneath the ice, a large metallic hull, unlike anything built by humans or the Zarins. Is this what we came for? Mira asked, squinting. Dion nodded. The ship from the signal. It's still alive. They worked quickly to clear the ice and open a hatch. The door creaked, then slid open, revealing a dark corridor inside. The air smelled old, cold, and metallic. Inside the ship, the walls glowed faintly with blue lines. Strange symbols decorated the surfaces, symbols neither of them had seen before. Suddenly, a figure stepped out from the shadows. Tall, thin, with skin that shimmered like moonlight. Eyes deep and wise. I am Aris, the alien said softly. You are brave to come here. Mira lowered her weapon slowly. Who are you? Are you friend or foe? Aris smiled gently. I am neither your enemy nor your friend. I am a survivor. A witness to what came before you. Dion whispered. The ones who sent the warning. Aris nodded. Yes, the Zarins are not protectors. They are harvesters. Mira's heart raced. Harvesters? They travel from planet to planet, Aris explained. They offer peace, technology, and safety. But their true purpose is to weaken, to control, and then to consume. Dion frowned. Consume? What do you mean? They feed on the energy of life itself, Aris said. Planets, civilizations, everything. When they finish, nothing remains but silence. Mira felt a chill. Why are you telling us this now? Because you are different, Aris said. You fight. You question. You seek truth. Mira stepped closer. How do we stop them? Aris reached into a small pouch and pulled out a glowing device. This weapon can shut down their technology. It disrupts their energy fields, but it needs time to charge. Time? Mira repeated. We don't have time. Aris nodded sadly. That is why you must move quickly. The Zirans harvest protocol will begin soon. Your world will be locked down. Dion looked at the device. How long does it take? 5 days, Aris said. Myra clenched her fists. Then we have 5 days to fight for Earth. Suddenly, the ship trembled. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed. They found us, Aris said. Zaran patrols are closing in. Outside, distant engines roared. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors. Mira grabbed her weapon. We're not going down without a fight. They rushed to the ship's control room. Dion hacked the security doors as Mira prepared to defend. Zaran soldiers appeared, glowing with blue light and moving swiftly. The corridor filled with sparks and gunfire. Mira ducked behind a console, firing at the advancing enemies. One soldier dropped, but more came. Dion, how long? She yelled. Almost there, he shouted. Typing frantically. The charging device pulsed softly on the table. Suddenly, a blast hit the console. Sparks flew. Dion cried out. Mira ran to help him. Are you okay? I'm fine, he said, though his face was pale. Outside, the Zarans breached the door. Mira pushed Dion aside and fired again. Keep going. With a final keystroke, Dion completed the charge. The device released a wave of energy, glowing bright white. The Zirans froze. Their lights flickered, and then they dropped to the ground, motionless. Mira gasped. It worked. Aris smiled faintly. The first step, but the battle has only begun. Dion looked at Mira. We need to get this weapon to Earth's leaders. They have to know, Mira nodded. And warn everyone. The Zarans are not the enemy we should fear. The real enemy hides behind a mask. As they prepared to leave the ship, Mira glanced back at the glowing device. She whispered, "This is hope, and the fight for Earth's future." Outside, the cold wind blew on, but inside Mira's heart burned with fire. The conference room was tense. Mira Chun sat at the long table, the glowing device from Aris resting before her. Around her, world leaders and military generals filled the room, their faces serious, eyes filled with doubt and fear. We have proof, Mira said, her voice steady but urgent. The Zarans are not here to protect us. They want to control Earth and harvest its energy. A murmur spread through the room. Some leaders whispered to each other. General Kravis, once an ally of the Zarans, stood up. That's a dangerous accusation, Officer Chun. We have worked with the Zarans for months. They saved us from threats we never saw. Why would they betray us now? Mira looked directly at him. Because they told you lies. I've seen their plans. They are rewriting our systems. They silence anyone who opposes them. Suddenly, the Kitensa lights flickered. The large screens in the room switched to a live feed showing cities around the world power grids failing. Communications cut, chaos spreading. Your friends are losing control, Mira said. The Zarans have started the harvest protocol. Kravis' face paled. We must act quickly, he said. But we need a plan. As they debated, a message appeared on the room's secure network, a secret channel. Mira opened it. The message was simple. Do not trust the humans in power. Some have sold us out. Gasps echoed around the table. Mira's heart raced. What does this mean? Dion, standing nearby, whispered, There's a mole. Someone on Earth is working with the Zirans. The room fell silent. No one moved. Then, suddenly the doors burst open. Soldiers stormed in, weapons raised. Everyone stay calm, the captain ordered. We have orders to detain those spreading false information. Mira stood. You can't silence the truth. The captain's eyes glowed faint blue. Orders are from the highest authority. The council has chosen stability over chaos. Kravis stepped forward, eyes fixed on Mira. We must stop this. Now Dion grabbed Mira's arm. They want to trap us. Mira nodded. We need to leave. With quick moves, they slipped through a hidden exit. Outside, the city was dark, streets filled with confused crowds and flashing alarms. "We're being hunted," Mira said. They raced to a safe house, a small apartment hidden in the city's underbelly. Inside, Mira pulled out a map, tracing the places where power still held. "We need allies," she said. "People who still believe." Dion tapped a secure device. "I found encrypted messages from resistance groups, small but organized." Suddenly, the screen flickered. A video appeared, Kravis speaking in a secret broadcast. "My fellow Earth citizens," Kravis said. "I betrayed you. I worked with the Zerans to keep peace. But peace under control is still peace. We cannot fight what is stronger than us." Myra felt bile rise. He sold us out. Dion looked grim, and not just him, others like him. Mira clenched her fists. "Then we fight from the shadows." They reached out to the resistance. Small groups appeared, armed and ready to fight the Zeran influence. Days passed. Cities lit up with protests, sabotage of Zeran systems, and secret battles. One night, Mira received a message from a secret source. "Meet me at the old observatory. Midnight. Alone." She hesitated but went. At the observatory, a figure waited, a woman with sharp eyes. "I'm Lyra," she said. "Former Zeran engineer. I left because I saw the truth." Mira's eyes narrowed. "Why help us?" Lyra smiled faintly. "Because I believe in freedom." She handed Mira a small device. "This can disable the Zeran control signals for hours. Use it wisely." Suddenly, alarms wailed. The observatory's doors crashed open. Zeran soldiers stormed in. "Run!" Lyra shouted. Mira and Lyra escaped through secret tunnels, dodging patrols. Outside, Mira whispered, "The real enemy isn't just out there, it's here, inside us." Lyra nodded. "Trust no one. Fight hard." The war for Earth's soul had begun. The city was in shadow. Power was scarce, and every corner held the threat of Zeran patrols. Mira Chun moved carefully through the crumbling streets, her breath forming clouds in the cold night air. The resistance was small now, just a few. Groups scattered like sparks fighting against a dark storm. Dion walked beside her, scanning their surroundings. "The Zerans have control of almost everything. Communications, power grids, even some of our soldiers." Mira's eyes narrowed. "That's why we need to strike fast. Hit their command centers before they tighten the noose." They reached a hidden bunker beneath the ruins of an old library. Inside, the resistance leaders gathered around a holographic map, their faces tired but determined. Jackson, the group's strongest fighter, slammed his fist on the table. "We can't keep running. We have to fight here now." Mira looked at the map. "We have one chance. The Zaran's main control hub is in the city's heart, under the central tower. If we take it down, their systems will collapse for a while." "How do we get in?" asked Lyra, the former Zeran engineer. Dion smiled grimly. "Through the old sewer lines." "They won't expect an attack from below," Myra nodded. "Then it's settled. Tonight we end this." As night deepened, the resistance prepared. Weapons were checked, plans repeated. Mira felt a knot in her stomach. Dion noticed. "You ready?" She took a deep breath. "Ready to fight." They moved like shadows through tunnels, avoiding patrols. The smell of damp earth filled the air. Suddenly, a distant alarm blared. "They've spotted us," Jackson hissed. "Move faster." They burst into the control hub, guns blazing. Zeran guards reacted quickly, their glowing weapons firing. Mira dove behind a console. "Dion, upload the virus." Dion connected a device to the mainframe, fingers flying over the keys. Almost there. Suddenly, the lights went out. The room was filled with darkness, except for the glowing eyes of Zeran soldiers. "They've cut power," Mira said. "Keep fighting." The resistance pushed forward, but numbers overwhelmed them. Mira saw Lyra fall, struck by a blast. "No!" Mira shouted, rushing to her side. Lyra's hand grasped hers weakly. Finish this. For freedom, Lyra whispered. Tears blurred Mira's eyes. I will. Dion's voice broke through the chaos. Virus uploaded. Systems failing. Screens flickered and shut down. The Zarans stumbled, confused. Mira rallied the fighters. Now, push them back, the battle raged. Slowly, the resistance gained ground. The Zaran control hub went dark. Outside, city lights blinked back on. People cheered cautiously. Mira stood on the rooftop, watching dawn break. We did it, Dion said softly. For now, Mira replied. The real war is just beginning. She looked at the horizon. But the last sparks of resistance will never die. The air was thick with tension as Mira, Chun, and Dion stood before the massive pulse generator deep underground. The weapon was Arisa's gift, the last hope to break the Zaran's hold on Earth. The chamber glowed faintly, humming with energy, the heartbeat of a device that could change everything. Are you sure this will work? Dion asked, his voice low but steady. Mira nodded, her eyes fixed on the controls. It has to. We have no other choice. Behind them, the resistance fighters waited anxiously. The city above was tense. Patrols were on high alert, and the slightest mistake could mean the end. Suddenly, an alarm blared through the chamber. The Zarans had found them. We don't have much time, Mira said. Get ready. The door blasted open. Blue-lit Zaran soldiers poured in, weapons raised. Hold the line. Mira shouted. Gunfire echoed through the chamber as resistance fighters fought fiercely. Mira stayed by the controls, fingers flying over the buttons. Dion covered her, firing at advancing enemies. Almost there. The pulse generator's energy built, light swelling around it. Then, a sudden explosion shook the chamber. A soldier charged, aiming for Mira. Dion threw himself in front, taking the blow. No, Mira cried, kneeling beside him. Dion smiled weakly. You finish this, he said. For Earth. Tears burned her eyes, but Mira forced herself to focus. She activated the final sequence. The generator pulsed, sending a shockwave through the Earth's core. Outside, Zaran ships faltered, their systems breaking down. Lights flickered off on their massive warships, and the control grids on Earth blinked and died. The silence that followed was deafening. Mira stood alone on a rooftop, watching the first sunrise in days without interference. A voice crackled through the Comes Earth's leaders. Free from Zaran control. We are free, Mira whispered. The pulse has freed us, but the victory was bittersweet. The fight had cost lives, and the future remained uncertain. Yet, as people across the world looked up at a clearer sky, hope grew. The real enemy had been hidden all along, but now Earth stood united. Mira smiled softly. We fought darkness with light. And we won. The pulse was not just a weapon, it was a new beginning.